Wow. So it looks like the stock market is soaring. Money is going to be flowing into the American economy. And there is breaking news left and right as deals are being made today, May 12th, 2025. So I'm going to get you caught up on the latest. And this is actually aside from that big, beautiful bill that we're hearing from Donald Trump is going to be coming and helping out with tons of tax items and agendas and money that's going to be helping the American people. This is aside from no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. This is aside from the promise of Doge dividend refund checks, or the proposal, not the promise, but all of these items that we're hearing potentially could be pouring in here and flowing in tons of money to the American people. This is aside from that. And there is a lot coming out today, May 12th, 2025. So let's go ahead and dive in so you can see it for yourself. A lot taking place today. As Trump says China has agreed to fully open its country's market to U.S. businesses, Trump has officially made that deal. That agreement means that China will open itself up to American businesses, according to President Donald Trump. Also, take a look coming out today. U.S. and China agree to slash tariffs for 90 days as trade talks are still in the works. Also, we've heard that Trump now is traveling to Turkey this week for Russia-Ukraine peace talks. A lot unfolding, like I said. And take a look. Hamas has released Eden Alexander, the last living American hostage in Gaza. This coming out today, May 12, 2025, 3 hours ago. So a lot going in. I'm going to dive into the articles and the video footage so you can see it for yourself. Several things happening. And like I said, we're hearing that as a result of what's happening specifically with the United States and China tariff agreement, today, May 12, 2025, they're saying, get ready. Trump had warned. He said, listen, what I'm about to announce here very soon, the deals that are in the works behind closed doors, you might want to buy stocks now, he said, because you're about to get very, very rich when these deals are done. And now we're hearing that the money potentially could start flowing here pretty significantly into the pockets of the American people. And if you like the sound of that, do me a quick favor before we dive in. Drop a 47 in the comments for support for Donald Trump. Hit that like button, subscribe if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And let's go ahead and get right to it. Oh, and as always, as you know, I cite all the sources. So everything I'm going to be referencing today is going to be hyperlinked in the description. Try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability to my community so you know this is the latest. You can see the dates, the sources, and also I put it on the screen, read right from it, so that way you know exactly what is going on. And if you appreciate that, like I said, hit that like button. Just takes a second. That simple gesture helps out the channel a ton. But let's go ahead and dive right in because there's a lot going on today, May 12th, 2025.
Fox News alert overnight, the Trump administration securing another win, announcing a major tariff deal with China. Trade will be one of the major issues on the agenda. When the president makes his high-stakes trip, and the first one to the Middle East, he's going overseas today. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt joins us now. Caroline, we're just mentioning there's probably 7 major stories. I know I'm going to disappoint somebody by not bringing it up. First off, your reaction, and what could you tell us about the China deal that has tariffs dropping from 145, 125 respectively to 30 and 10?
Mm-hmm. This is an extraordinary first step in the right direction. And thanks to the strength of President Trump, Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer were able to cut this initial deal with China. China agreed to reduce their tariffs on the United States by 115%. They also agreed to continue having discussions about opening Chinese markets to American-made products and goods. And they also agreed to continue seriously discussing the grave impact that Chinese-produced fentanyl is having right here in the United States and our people. So this is a great first step for the American public, and Secretary Bessent, Ambassador Greer, and of course President Trump will continue negotiations with China so we can hopefully inevitably get to a fair and comprehensive big trade deal.
Do you know yet, Caroline, if they're going to unfreeze their rare earth and the magnets that we use for our technical equipment as well as our military equipment?
I do understand that was part of the discussion, but I also know that the administration is working overtime 24/7 with a dedicated team to onshore that very critical supply chain here at home. We need to be producing those magnets, those rare earth minerals, and also look at pharmaceuticals, look at semiconductors. There are critical supply chains that we have been dependent on other countries for far too long. So while we continue to negotiate these good and fair trade deals, we will also continue to boost our domestic manufacturing here at home to strengthen our national security.
All right, so we got the UK deal, the framework for a China deal. Is there another deal queued up, ready to go today before you leave?
Well, look, we told you the next 100 days would consist of peace deals and trade deals, and that's exactly what we have seen. The president announced last week the big trade deal with the UK, as you mentioned. Now we have a first deal with China. Just yesterday, the president announced the release of the last remaining American hostage in Gaza, Eden Alexander, who will soon be united with his loving family. God bless him. That's thanks to President Trump. We also negotiated a ceasefire with the Houthis, and President Trump was instrumental in negotiating a ceasefire with India and Pakistan. This is all in the last week. President Trump and his team are working incredibly hard on behalf of the country and the world to secure peace deals and trade deals. And don't forget, we have a tax deal coming too. The administration is working with Capitol Hill to sign the largest tax cuts in American history right now.
So this pharmaceutical deal, I'm just going off the Truth Social posts. It says, it's a long one, but he says, I'm pleased to announce that today, the White House at 9 o'clock will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders ever. They will be reducing pharmaceuticals by about 80%. Essentially, we are going to pay less than the country that's paying the least for pharmaceuticals from here on in. How does that work?
First of all, it cannot be overstated how big of a deal this executive order that President Trump will be signing in a couple of hours is for American families, and especially our seniors who have been ripped off by very large and rich pharmaceutical companies. The United States of America is less than 5% of the world's population, yet we purchase 75% of Big Pharma's profits. We pay an astronomical amount in comparison to other countries around the world. So the president is signing an executive order today that is going to implement most favored nations drug pricing and is going to reduce the cost of drugs in this country by more than half at least. America is going to pay a better rate and a fairer rate to the rest of the world. That's what the American people deserve. This is huge news. And also, I will add, we know that healthcare costs and drug prices were the #1 driver of Biden inflation. So not only are we bringing those down, but we are ending Biden inflation once and for all.
Can you clarify that Qatar is giving us a new Air Force One as a personal gift to President Trump? Are they gifting it to the country? What could you tell us about this luxury liner that looks like a hotel in the air?
Well, the Qatari government has graciously offered to donate a plane to the Department of Defense. The legal details of that are still being worked out, but of course, any donation to this government is always done in full compliance with the law, and we commit ourselves to the utmost transparency, and we will continue to do that.
Do you worry that if they give us something like this, they want something in return?
Absolutely not, because they know President Trump, and they know he only works with the interests of the American public in mind.
So, Caroline, it was a great Mother's Day, I imagine, for yourself, even though you have like 8 major news stories happening. You published a few pictures, posted a few pictures. Can you bring some color and some light on what Mother's Day meant to you this year?
Well, it was my first Mother's Day, and it was incredibly special. I had a great day with my baby and my husband, relaxing family day, as now I'm headed off to the Middle East with the president. We're going to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE this week. More big economic deals and peace deals to be announced. But yesterday was a beautiful day. Lots of news, but still a fun day with my family. Thanks for asking, Brian.
There you have it, you guys. So, man, a lot going on today. As I mentioned, they said that there are peace deals being done. There are tariff agreements taking place. They are being slashed. China, they're saying the United States have reached a deal, and they're getting rid of the reciprocal tariffs. It's going to be going down significantly. Markets are soaring. Money is flowing in. And like I mentioned, this has nothing to do with that big, beautiful bill that we've heard promised by Donald Trump. So we're still yet to see that. I see people in the comments. I see Bea. I see a couple people asking about stimulus checks. Are we going to be getting those Doge dividend refund stimulus checks? That's still in the works. Now, the reconciliation bill, it has been passed through the framework. The framework has been done through the process of reconciliation. They're adding in those line items. We're waiting to see what Congress has to say about that, and if there's going to be no tax on tips, Social Security, overtime, if those making under $120,000 or $200,000 a year are going to be getting no income tax. We're going to wait to see for those line items. Now, when that comes out, I'll let you know. And also, will those Doge dividend refund checks be included? Will 20% of the Doge clawbacks go to the American people in the form of a check? Now, we will see. I will keep you up to date. But what is happening right now with this agreement is totally separate. And they're saying that this is causing the markets to soar. Money is about to start flowing in with these tariff trade deals that are being made right now. And Trump, you heard him say, hey, before, it was maybe about a couple weeks ago, if I remember correctly, he said, you might want to buy stocks now because when these deals are done that I am telling you about, you're going to get rich. So there is a lot flowing in. Let's take a look at some more of this now. This one coming out from Fox as well, reacting to what's happening. And they're just simply saying, it's incredible. What is happening today, May 12th, 2025, is incredible. Get ready because we're going to be seeing, they're saying, money flowing into the hands of the American people. Let's take a look.
We start with a Fox News alert. The United States and China have reached an agreement to slash tariffs on each other's goods, complete with a 90-day pause for future negotiations.
Lucas Thomason is live in Saudi Arabia ahead of President Trump's visit there with the details. Good morning, Lucas. What can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon from Riyadh, guys. Before President Trump arrives here in Saudi Arabia tomorrow morning, big news on the trade front. A trade deal has been announced with China, an agreement to slash tariffs. Here's President Trump's trade rep, Jamieson Greer, speaking in Geneva.
We come to agreement that our reciprocal tariff rate will go down to 10% on the United States side, so it goes down 115%. We enter into a 90-day pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove the countermeasures that they have in place.
So tariffs are being slashed, and here's President Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent speaking alongside Greer in Geneva.
Neither side wants a decoupling. And what had occurred with these very high tariffs, as Ambassador Greer said, was the equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that. We do want trade. We want more balanced trade. And I think that both sides are committed to achieving that.
Now, after European leaders traveled to Ukraine over the weekend to support a U.S.-led 30-day ceasefire effort to begin today, it was supposed to, Russian President Vladimir Putin appeared to stall, holding a hastily arranged press conference early Sunday morning, about 3 a.m. local in Moscow, to propose something different. A meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Istanbul, an offer President Trump says Zelensky should accept, posting, quote, President Putin of Russia doesn't want to have a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, but rather wants to meet on Thursday in Turkey to negotiate a possible end to this bloodbath. Ukraine should agree to this immediately. At least they will be able to determine whether or not a deal is possible, and if it is not, European leaders and the U.S. will know where everything stands and can proceed accordingly. I'm starting to doubt Ukraine will make a deal with Putin, who's too busy celebrating the victory of World War II, which could not have been won, not even close, without the United States of America. Have the meeting now. And Zelensky, responding to Putin's offer, said, quote, we await a full and lasting ceasefire starting from tomorrow, meaning today, Monday, to provide the necessary basis for diplomacy. There is no point in prolonging the killings, and I will be waiting for Putin in Turkey on Thursday. Personally, I hope that this time the Russians will not look for excuses. Now, here's President Trump on the India-Pakistan ceasefire mediated by the White House, led by Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The president posting, quote, "While not even discussed, I'm going to increase trade substantially with both of these great nations. Additionally, I'll work with you both to see if, after a, quote, 1,000 years, a solution can be arrived at concerning Kashmir. God bless the leadership of India and Pakistan on a job well done." So President Trump will be arriving here in Saudi Arabia tomorrow to begin the signing of billions of dollars worth of deals. And before he leaves the White House this morning, guys, the president will be sitting down to sign an executive order to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Guys?
Lucas, it's almost impossible to think that we're looking at 5 major stories at one time, right from the region the president's about to go to, right?
There's no question, Brian. Very busy day yesterday when these were all announced. And also something to look at on this trip is Syria. You know, the Trump administration wants to keep Iran out of Syria, doesn't want it to be a forward operating base like it was for 50 years under the Assad regime. That's one more thing. So maybe we're up to 6 now, Brian. But President Trump's going to arrive for tomorrow. They're expecting billions of dollars worth of deals to be announced, including artificial intelligence and, of course, arms sales as well.
Yeah, I'd rather not be a Russian hub either. That would certainly help. Appreciate it, Lucas.
It's incredible what President Trump has done over the weekend. He brokered that India-Pakistani ceasefire. He got Zelensky and Putin to go to the table. Putin said, "I want to meet with you, Zelensky, on Thursday." And President Trump encouraged Zelensky to do that on Truth Social, and then they both agreed. And then also the U.S. and China trade deal. Lucas didn't mention that the 20% duties on Chinese imports relating to fentanyl will remain in place, meaning the total tariff on China stands at 30%.
And then, of course, you got the last living American hostage as
Absolutely.
well. That has finally been negotiated, that he's going to be released. So, I mean, he's firing on all cylinders. Maybe we finally get the markets are responding positively to this trade deal being done. It's a framework. There's still more negotiation to go, but it's a step in the right direction.
So, you know, a lot of times when they come out of meetings, they have different interpretations of the meetings. And I was just seeing, I listened to the presser live at 3 in the morning. And then it was hard hearing all the audio, so I was just jotting down hand notes. And then I'm listening to the Chinese delegation. They had one soundbite, and he sounded just as positive. You know what it shows? All the manufacturing, the trouble they have, making their payments, getting people unemployment. The fact is, a lot of these cargo ships are leaving with nothing on them because the U.S. is canceling their orders. They came to deal. And you know what I also like? Not like they caved first, they caved second. They said that it is just, hey, we're at 145, 125. Now we're at 30 and 10. And these are some of the details. And one of the things that Scott Bessent said in particular, China brought up to them, we have not had talks about trade in 4 years. The also thing that they brought up, too, is he says, you guys got to become a consumer nation. All you do is send stuff out.
Right.
Now we have $295 billion of trade imbalance. It's gone up 5% this year, 40% over the last 5 years. It is unsustainable. Of course we're in this spot right here, right now. The question is, why wasn't there more of an urgency before?
And then also the hostage to be released. It's Eden Alexander. We've talked to his family before on the show. He was held for 550 days. And this is thought to be a gesture because our president, is going to the Middle East for the week. And this was a gesture from Hamas to say, we're going to send home an American.
So you got the president firing on all cylinders with all these major international and domestic stories, but the Democrats are still in disarray.
Right. And by almost everything they said on the Sunday shows is null and void because everything's been moving forward. But what I thought was interesting is, as far as Netanyahu says, I didn't give up anything to get Alexander back. So Witkoff just arrived, as in the Jerusalem Post, about an hour ago. Yeah. So what's he going to say? He's going to clue them in. Now, Israel and the U.S. are a little bit disjointed now because we cut a deal with the Houthis not to bomb us, but they continue to go after. Israel says, we wish we would have known about that ahead of time. This hostage thing, I'm not sure they were clued in this time, but they do plan on going in full bore into Gaza and holding land this time. But it would be good, I think, for the world community to get some aid in there. It would, at the very least, just get some humanitarian aid to the areas that we told the Palestinians to evacuate to.
There's Eden's picture. His mom found out on Mother's Day. Her son's coming home.
What a gift.
Right.
Wow, there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. So a lot going on, and I saw in the comments somebody said so much winning. And we got a poll going on right now. Which of these is the biggest, in your opinion? The U.S.-China deal, that we're hearing is going to be causing markets to soar, and they're saying that this deal is going to be helping out a ton. Money could be flowing in. Or do you think it's the Russia-Ukraine deal? We're hearing that right now. Trump is saying he's planning to go to Turkey to discuss more talks. We also have the Gaza hostage release. The last American hostage has been released, we're hearing, from Hamas. They're saying that they're willing to do that. Trump helped broker that as well, and there is a lot happening. Or do you think it's something else? Let me know in the poll, in the comments. Right now, the U.S.-China deal is at the top. 64% of the room is saying they think that is the biggest of all the things that are coming out today, May 12th, 2025. There is a lot happening right now, man. And like I said, this is aside from that big, beautiful bill, the reconciliation bill that they're saying could leave no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security checks that you receive, maybe no taxes for those making under $200,000 a year, just no income taxes at all. And also those Doge dividend refund checks, we're waiting to see if that's going to be included in that big, beautiful bill as well. But a lot going on, and as I mentioned, we're hearing that this deal is causing markets to soar, and they're saying get ready for money to flow in. Let's take a look at another video, as there's just videos coming out left and right today regarding this huge news coming out. Donald Trump, I saw earlier today, J.D. Vance saying the boss is on fire today. About 5, 6, 7, 8 deals going on right now, and they're saying America is back. Let's take a look at this video footage.
Global stock markets are soaring thanks to President Trump's latest trade truce with China, and the world's two largest economic superpowers have agreed to slash tariffs by 115%. That means there's still some in there, but they're much lower, and it's for a 90-day period. So, Wall Street, the corner of Wall and Broad, liking the cooling off that they see. The deal cuts reciprocal tariffs, again, by 115%. And China will reduce pressure on U.S. products from 125% down to 10%. The U.S. will temporarily lower tariffs on Chinese goods from 145 to 30%. So you see, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that this breakthrough was able to happen under President Trump because China walked all over Biden.
In January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations.
And now that President Trump was able to make major progress with China, he's eyeing an agreement with the European Union next. But warns those talks will be tougher.
In all parts of the European Union, they were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. We've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly.
All the cards, David.
Yeah. I watched the European Union debate. It was a few days ago on the tariffs. And you could see the setup already. And President Trump is right. There are so many moving parts in Europe, and it's either full-on anti-Trump or they can't preserve their socialism. The other thing they face in Europe is that Germany is breaking away a little bit from this. You see the shifts in Germany, and they're sick of being basically the economic lapdog for the other countries. So they're not as aligned as they'd like to be, but there are a lot of people that are just living in that TDS world. And I saw that in the debates. I watched a couple of hours of it and realized that this is what we're up against. But China proves one thing, that when you stop playing games with them and pay attention to their weakness, China is not as strong as they'd like to be. They're our biggest trade deficit. But the fact is that they're weak because if their goods sit there and they're an export economy, they're not selling to maintain their communism.
So, Kennedy, can you talk to us about really what this means in a broader sense with the European Union? They don't have a singular dollar over there. You've still got the British. You have a lot of people on the continent who do things differently financially. Yes. How much does all that matter?
Well, it does matter because the European Union came into existence to compete with America on the global stage, hoping to be, the third leg hegemonic triad. And that has not necessarily been the case because there have, for the last couple decades, been several countries in the EU that have really dragged their economy down, and they've tried to restructure their debt over the years. And I don't blame Germany. I mean, Bavaria wants to secede from Germany because they're prosperous, and you have other parts of the country that, you know, the social safety net is acting like an anvil. So they're doing whatever they can, but I'm sorry, like the free market and appealing to consumers is the best way to go instead of creating a system of dependency that is unsustainable in any country and any language.
Emily.
Yeah, you know, I look at not through the lens of an economist by any means, but just as an American, as I have been told that under the prior administration, our obligations were ignored. And I can't skip over that because the idea and the concept of an abdication of duty is something that somehow the left pushed a narrative for us that it was somehow tolerable. And they reframe President Trump's actions as somehow that of a self-serving dictator, when the opposite is true. He is finally, for once, fighting for the American people and America as an actual global superpower, or simply as just mighty and independent, rather than being totally trod upon by all of these countries like China, where the capitulations and policies of the prior administration and Democrats like it are what got us into that cheap, fast, casual, tariffs imbalance, high debt mess in the first place. So bravo. And just remember that the narrative will never let this be a joy or a success. They will continue painting this in poor light. And that, lo and behold, they said China would never come around, right? It was going to be World War III. Well, look what happened.
Well, it's like Kayleigh always says, deliverables. I mean, Trump is coming forth with them. That's got to really hurt the left. I want to stick with the European Union for just a second, though, because a lot of things are really, really pricey over there. And Kennedy mentioned that there are 2 or 3 economies within the union that are not viable, and they're having to shore each other up and all of that. That makes them weak against someone on the global stage like Trump, who wants to now, as a president, do a deal with tariffs.
For sure. And of course, they don't have the United Kingdom there anymore either. I'm still sitting here so impressed that you watched a few hours of a European Union debate on tariffs. Whoa, David Webb.
I'm that guy.
You are that guy.
You're the one.
Let me just say, you know, it's a huge win. And Scott Bessent has kind of been teasing this all along, saying when you're the surplus country, I mean, China's running a trade surplus. They have more to lose than us as the trade deficit country, and that appears to be right. This is a major breakthrough. 3 a.m. Eastern time is when Scott Bessent was announcing this on the world stage. He also talked about this helps to bring on critical supplies, and I couldn't help but think of my time in the White House in 2020 when, you know, Obama left the cupboards bare, as Trump kept saying, with N95 respirators and all the COVID supplies we needed. They've put an eye towards shoring that supply line up, and Scott Bessent should be praised. You know, President Trump said, maybe we bring these tariffs to 80%, but I leave it up to Scott B. Well done, Scott B. This is a big breakthrough with President Trump at the top.
Hey, everyone.
Wow, there you have it, you guys. So again, just a lot going on. We're hearing the money is going to be flowing in. Deals are being made. Breaking news coming out left and right today, May 12th, 2025. And this is all something totally new. These are all deals that are being made on the side here with Trump and other nations, tariffs, China. We're hearing there's Russia-Ukraine peace talks that are being brokered by Donald Trump. In addition to that, we're also hearing that stuff in the Middle East is taking place. So there is a lot going on, and this is all aside from that big, beautiful bill that we're hearing is going to be coming out here any day now with the details, the line items that are going to be directly impacting Americans in a positive way. Donald Trump said, prepare to get rich. We're going to make America great again. And there's a lot taking place here. And this also, that big, beautiful bill is where we're hearing we potentially could be seeing that Doge dividend stimulus refund check that so many people are waiting for. And if you'd like to see that, and you're glad to see that big, beautiful bill coming here very soon, don't forget, hit that like button for me. Help spread this video out. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything, but there is a lot unfolding. The last American hostage has been released as well from Gaza. We're hearing that that release has been set. Trump is going to be traveling to Turkey this week to discuss the Russia-Ukraine peace talks. And like I said, U.S. and China, they have agreed to slash tariffs for 90 days as the trade talks continue. So a lot unfolding right now. And I'll keep you guys up to speed on all of it. In addition to that, like I said, Doge dividend refund checks. Are they going to happen or no? Are they going to be included in that big, beautiful bill? When is it going to be released? What are the details? Stay tuned to the channel. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And if you're glad to hear all this is going on, like I said, drop a 47 in the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And if you missed my last video on Social Security, you might want to check it out. We're hearing there is a lot going on. I'm going to have more videos coming out on that as well. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, May 12th, 2025, on the latest breaking news, several things going on. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.